Good morning. This is my video submission for EMS Communications at Columbia Southern. So I don't have the resources to actually do a full theater style script, but I do have an answer for scenario 2, and this is my video submission. I will provide a link to this YouTube channel for you. So I chose scenario option 2. You are the director of a rural EMS agency. The agency staffs one ambulance 24 hours and one during the day, Monday through Friday, for 12 hours. You have a call crew on the weekend, so an on-call crew from Friday evening till Monday morning. Our agency is not part of the fire department. There are only small volunteer man stations throughout the county. The neighboring county to the west has a lot more resources, including paid fire personnel and 3 times as many ambulances as I have, but no specialty resource equipment which you are aware of. Both EMS and fire in that county are staffed around the clock. You're not sure what resources your neighboring counties to the south, east, and north have because they are in different regions, and you do not attend the same planning meetings. You also do not know how they are manned or who the directors are. So already we have found out that I, as an EMS director of this rural agency, have already failed my county pretty horribly. As an EMS director and as someone that's in a leadership role, I should have already attended these disaster relief meetings. I should know what every county around me has. I should have already forged out some mutual aid agreements and created that interoperability. Most importantly, even at just the paramedic level, it is your responsibility as a paramedic to know your zone, left, right, up, down, and back. If I have a stroke, I need to know where to take them. In rural Georgia, where I'm actually from initially, I had this type of agency, and it's almost like you read my background. Before moving to Atlanta, I worked in a rural agency just like this, and he should have options for each scenario that could come across the board. Can you have every scenario planned out? Can you always plan everything? No, you can't always plan everything out, but it doesn't seem like this director has even tried. So he should have an answer for most situations that are commonplace across the board. But if he does not communicate with these other agencies around, he won't know what they have. Obviously, he won't know how to deal with certain situations. So you also do not know how they're manned and who the directors are. You think you met them once at a state meeting. It is the winter and the ground is covered in snow and ice. So we're already talking about a safety issue with snow and ice and us being out on the road. At 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night, there's a wreck with injuries, and one of the vehicles is partially over a guardrail on one of the common mountain roads in our county. So breaking this down, we say that it's Tuesday night, so my weekend truck is not there. There's nobody on call to call in. It's 11 p.m. on a weekday night. Now I have a 24-hour ambulance and I have a day truck. In my experience as a former operations commander of a large service, and as in South Georgia where I was a 911 captain down there, we had a day truck and it did not get staffed at 11 to 11 or 12 to 12. It was usually 7 to 7 or 8 to 8 or even maybe 9 to 9, but day truck usually meant it was a daytime truck, usually for our more seasoned EMTs and paramedics that were not really about that 24-hour life anymore. So I'm assuming that from this reading that also it says a wreck with injuries and one of the vehicles is partially over a guardrail. So now we have a issue of safety with the vehicle possibly tumbling over the guardrail over this mountain pass. And we're not having the rescue equipment to actually address this issue because we're not a part of a fire department. So therefore, we probably didn't have vehicle stabilization and extrication training. And also, we have the issue of just being safety here. So I respond from home and arrive on scene at the same time as my ambulance crew. Radio and cell phone reception up on the mountain is spotty at best. Who do you call and how do you reach them? How could improved interoperability make this situation less stressful? What tools do I need? Well, I believe firmly that communication is not the key. Comprehension is key. And I need to make sure that I'm being well understood and that everybody on scene is speaking the same language. This was a problem we had, and this is why NIMS came to be. This is why we all have to complete NIMS and TIMS training in EMT and paramedic programs. This type of issue would not bother us here in the city of Atlanta, but in South Georgia or rural or some rural area, this is a now mass casualty because there's more than I have resources to actually address. These resources I have are finite. I have to have help. So who am I going to call? I'm going to reach out to all neighboring counties that I can. Ultra high frequency shortwave radios can penetrate through concrete, cement, mountain passes. If I have to, I'll drive down the mountain to get a better reception and signal and hopefully reach our dispatch center that has a PSAP. And I will request these agencies to send me what they have. Even though I don't know what they have, I'll ask them. I have no problem looking silly on the radio, like, hey, I don't know what you have, but I need this, this, and this. Can you meet this need that I have? I've done that as a paramedic. And if I was like out of my zone transporting a patient, I didn't know what this hospital's capabilities were. I'm like, hey, I've got this patient here. Do you have the resources to address and mitigate their circumstances and treat them? Yeah. And if they said yes, I'd bring them there. If not, I would take them to the appropriate facility. So I would go down the mountain and I would call and get my dispatch on the line. If I had to use a cell phone, I would call them. If I had to use that shortwave radio with ultra high frequency, I would do that. But I have to get resources and other logistics moving towards this call. Now, I would hope that I could activate my volunteer fire stations, and I would hope they have, experience in cribbing and vehicle stabilization. Our job at this point is to do no harm, but also to prevent secondary injury as the EMS unit. So I would want somebody to triage these patients. If anybody can walk, come to me. We'll get the walking wounded, those green tags out of there. If there's somebody trapped in the vehicle, we will try our best to stabilize the vehicle, make sure it does not fall over through the ravine, because that would be a lot more work. And we would then make sure that there's nobody else on our scene that is hurt, because it is snowy, it is icy, it is a dangerous situation for us. And even getting to this scene would be challenging. So we would definitely need heavy rescue. And how could improved interoperability make this situation less stressful? We know we have a staffing issue. We know we can be overwhelmed very easily. We know that we have not been to directors meetings. We don't know what these other resources have. Contrary to popular belief, I don't care what service you work for. No patient has ever cared what patch was on your shoulder. No patient has ever cared what patch was on your shoulder. They don't care who you work for. So we are all in this together. Okay, so we can't be having holdouts of like, well, he's not cool, I'm not going to go and work with him. Or at this point, I can only assume this director was lazy or just didn't know any better. But at this point in his career, if he's elevated himself to the title of director, he should have had training. He should have had understanding of how NIMS and TIMS works, and how to best serve his community is to have these mutual aid contracts and to know what resources are around him. Because again, even at the paramedic level here in Atlanta, I teach the paramedics for the city of Atlanta, and I can tell you before they leave out, they know where every trauma hospital is, every stroke center, every chest pain center. They know what situations that can occur, and they will take them there. Now, every now and then there is the atypical situation where we have to operate in the gray area of our protocols. That's when we involve medical direction. We'll involve medical direction. We'll call up and say, hey, this is what I have. Can you help me mitigate this circumstance? So improved operability for this would be getting those mutual aid contacts, knowing these directors on a first name basis, and understanding what kind of resources they can provide for me in my county, and then offering the same to them. But for now, best I can do is get some volunteers out here to stabilize and initially stabilize, and then hopefully get these other resources from these other counties to work. What tools do I need? Stabilization, cribbing. I need probably another 24-hour ambulance staffed all the time. It's hard to sell that to bean counters, and I'm very aware of that. Beans, bullets, and band-aids is what we used to say, and they don't want to staff it, but I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So at least having another 24-hour ambulance on deck would be very beneficial, because it would pay for itself right here when I have a patient that is in need. So I hope this meets the parameters of what was asked in this project, but I do understand the importance of interoperability. I understand that there are 3 levels to this, and that there are, this situation did kind of broach into all three of those, about mutual aid, about having, a workaround communications for this situation here. So any questions, please reach out to me via email, and I hope you have a great day.